I'm Sam Scott, and with me from out on the Sacred Fire Farms, we've got Nancy Harold, and she's going to talk to us about, I don't know what today. We kind of got done.
Eye health.
Eye health?
Uh-huh.
So
health for the eyes.
We should eat our carrots?
Yep, carrots are good.
All right. Okay.
We'll talk about some other things.
All right. We probably should have talked about stroke prevention maybe, a month ago or something.
Yeah. Well, we can circle that around.
Well, it's all right.
Yeah.
But let's see. I was trying to find my. I know I made. There we go. I know I made a for the YouTube folks with your name on it. So
great.
There we are. So all right. What do we do for eye health?
Well, I tend to approach things from my perspective, which is I'm way out on a farm.
Yeah.
And I'm 45 minutes from any, so I want to talk about the first aid things first.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things that was a recurring problem for me was a little old thing called pink eye.
Oh, conjunctivitis?
Conjunctivitis, yes, pink eye. I know how it became a problem. Evidently, there's some part of that organism that will tend to stay dormant in the eye. And when I was working in the emergency room, we had like a set number of people we worked with, and there was a guy I was usually scheduled to, a male nurse that I was scheduled to work with. And at that time, it was the early 80s, and so the ER also doubled as kind of an urgent care. We didn't have the proliferation of urgent cares. And when people would come in for whatever reason, we noticed that if he treated anybody or did intake for somebody with pink eye, that shortly thereafter he would get pink eye.
Oh.
And I suspect that it lay dormant for him. It was a germ that never went away. He would do the standard medicines for him, but he was real susceptible to pink eye. So after a number of times in noticing this pattern, I volunteered to take anyone.
Yeah.
And guess what happened?
You got pink eye?
I got pink eye.
Yeah.
And anytime I was around somebody who had a slightly inflamed eye, I got pink eye.
Oh, no.
And it got so bad, I was to the point where I was resistant from antibiotics.
Oh.
And so I started looking for other options, which actually proved to be pretty effective. At that time, I found something from a company called Similacin, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's a European company, and they do a lot of homeopathic. Mm-hmm. So homeopathic is another alternative medicine. It's a 200-year-old practice. It's well established, and the premise of it is like cures like. So they put a little bit of whatever they think is the causative agent, and it clears it up. And this worked really well for me for a long time. Walgreens had its own variety, and I think the FDA decided they couldn't call it pink eye formula. They had to call it irritated eye formula. So it was still the same product, still worked famously. The other thing I've found since then, because we make our own colloidal silver, I actually found colloidal silver was very effective. And the colloidal silver seemed to keep it from coming back. It was the only thing that did. It's probably been about 4 years since I've had an episode of pink eye where I was getting it like 1 to 2 times a month. And it just seems like, and there is a school of thought that no microorganism has become resistant to colloidal silver. It works every time. It's 1 or 2 drops. I usually have to apply it a couple times, morning and evening, and whatever irritation I'm starting with is just gone. So I am a fan of colloidal silver when it comes to doing a quick address of pink eye. The other thing we find out in kind of an emergency situation is stye. Everyone's had a stye, that irritating redness on the eyelid that can even get as far as getting pussy and things like that. There are some natural remedies for styes that I really like. Chamomile tea. A lot of us drink chamomile for the relaxing element. Combined with rosemary. Rosemary has rosmarinic acid, which is an anti-inflammatory. And you can do an infusion, and when I say infusion, that just means you let whatever tea source is in there sit more than 15 minutes.
Okay.
That 15 minutes just gives it time for all the beneficial elements to come out. And you make a compress of that. Or you can do it as an eye wash and apply it 3 times a day. That seems to be real effective. Cloves, a clove tea, just like a clove infusion, like we talked about with the chamomile, is another choice. So I would say there was a time in my life, I always had cloves because I cooked with them, but I may not have been as herbally conscious and had chamomile. So if you have the cloves, you can make a strong tea of that and do the same thing, do the wash and also the compress. Aloe vera. We know aloe vera, it's, almost in most of the kitchens I know for rapid treatment first aid for burns. But you can actually kind of split that leaf and take that little gel and apply it and let it sit there for 20 minutes because it has a lot of antimicrobial properties. It'll start to work on that.
Yeah. I thought it was just for burns.
I did too.
Yeah.
We learn things all the time.
Yeah.
So, if you've got an aloe vera plant in the sty, you're probably good to go.
Well, there you go.
But those are the most emergent things. As we age, our eyes change. That's kind of expected. We lose some of the rods and some of the cones, the functional elements that give us day and nighttime vision. I've kind of noticed, much to my chagrin to admit this, my night vision isn't what it used to be. A good friend of mine says, when you're dating in your 70s, it's not how much do you make or, what kind of job do you have or what do you want? It's like, can you drive in the dark?
I can see where that would be important. Yeah.
So night vision, so that is usually a loss of the vitamin A. And that's where your carrots come in because they're high in vitamin A.
Okay.
Right? But it can also be due to things like diabetes, glaucoma, cataracts. If you're nearsighted, you're going to be more susceptible. I was very nearsighted. Genetics, they say, play into it. But not to worry, there's actually some things we can do to dial back. So in ancient times, they used to consume liver products from animals. When people had night vision, somehow they intuited it or got some information that it was related to some unhealthy liver aspects. So how do you build the liver up? You eat liver-rich foods. I'm rather fond of chicken liver, although I'm not a fan of beef liver. But I'll do chicken liver. And while vitamin A deficiencies, like they were in olden times, aren't as common, kind of thinking it would benefit us all to eat some liver. Find a liver source that you like.
I've never been able to find a liver source.
Yeah.
I can't stand the smell of it cooking.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's not too bad. I do chicken livers as kind of a ground up pate, and I can put it on a cracker, and that's not bad if it's cooked.
How about gizzards? I can eat gizzards.
Really?
But not
I
liver.
can't do gizzards.
You can't do
I
gizzards.
can't even stand the sight of them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's funny. The texture is real nasty for me. But another thing that can help us in the night vision arena is bilberry leaf tea. Bilberry is a relative of blueberry. Okay. It's not the same thing. But this was really funny making this connection. So a lot of times when night vision is impaired by diabetes, bilberry also has the effect of lowering blood sugar.
Oh.
Bilberry tea.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people manage their type 2 diabetes with bilberry. And I've had a couple people report success with that by drinking the tea. So it also nourishes the retina, which is important. That has to be intact in the back of our eyes to give us the image.
Good.
Pairing bilberry with ginkgo, something that promotes blood supply to the brain, has also reported to give it an added boost or benefit. Vitamins, B vitamins, are real important for night vision, as is zinc. There's homeopathy, and I'll say this really slowly, Lycopodium clavatum, it's Lycopodium, clavatum, clavatum, is another kind of homeopathy that's really good for night blindness, but homeopathy, this particular homeopathy remedy is also really good for rebuilding the liver. So go figure. Okay. Yeah. And if you're not a fan of chicken livers or any kind of livers, think about doing a little, 3 pellet dose. You can order it on Amazon. It's about $10. Does a lot of good things. Lycopodium is actually a moss. So if you don't want to know what the source of it is, it's actually a type of moss that they make into this remedy. They dilute it, shake it up, and it's pretty tasteless. It's actually made with sucrose, a little bit of sucrose pills you dissolve under the tongue. And it's famous for rebuilding liver and also helping out night blindness. I want to talk a little bit about cataracts. A lot of people I know, they've got cataract surgery pretty well refined. So I would not, be opposed to having cataract surgery if there was no other way, if you tried, especially if you have mild to moderate cataracts and you don't want to take the time to dial it back, or they're actually created, there's a genetic component to that as well for people to form cataracts. Radiation for cancer tends to proliferate cataracts. Frequent use of steroids for arthritis or another condition. Eye injuries, frequent allergies, anything that causes, the eyes to become involved. These things actually cause cataracts are actually the lens of the eye becoming cloudy. So you can actually see it sometimes on another person who has extreme cataracts. It looks like they've got just a white spot in their eye. And sometimes older animals will get cataracts. I've had a dog that has had cataracts and caused them some blindness. But it's also from increased blood sugar. So there's a few addresses to look at cataracts if it's in your family history and you want to avoid the surgery. The surgery doesn't carry a lot of risks, but my opinion is that if you can avoid surgery altogether or prevent it, especially if this is in your family and you're relatively young, there's some. They've actually found that there's some efficacy supported with castor oil drops, and you don't have to necessarily put these in the eye. You can put it on the eyelid, and it's absorbed. Usually at nighttime while you sleep. There's a caveat. You should have organic and hexane free. Those are the two qualifiers to use any sort of castor oil close to the eye. They were described as a cold pressed oil that usually goes with those other two things. But if you want to avoid the possibility, the risks of cataract surgery are occasionally perennial dry eye, where people complain about their eyes being too dry after the surgery. Sometimes they report increased floaters. Sometimes they'll have a droopy eyelid after that because there's been a nerve. And there's always a risk of infection with any sort of surgery. And that's not to say that, you shouldn't have surgery if you need cataracts. If you have cataracts, by all means, do look at that. But like I said, this is more geared toward people who maybe have a family history of it or suspect they aren't seeing as well. And if you're kind of doctor averse like I am, you'll probably do some other things before, you look at considering a surgery. There's some supplemental addresses you can do. There's something called lutein. It's also paired with zeaxanthin, Xeaxanthin. It's sold as a supplement, but those things are found in dark leafy greens. So if you like your greens, or you can make yourself eat more of the greens, you can go a long way to correcting and supporting eye health. I had come across more than one snippet of information that said if you eat dark leafy greens 3 to 4 times a week, you'll never have to worry about, or you greatly reduce your chances of cataracts and even macular degeneration because of this lutein and zeaxanthin that's contained. Now, we grow our own stuff, so it's pretty easy, it's accessible, but even for people who maybe don't like greens of themselves, we put ours in spinach. Do a spinach in omelets or eggs in the morning. It mixes up real well. It's very palatable. You can saute the spinach beforehand. Doesn't hurt a thing as far as nutrients, as far as I know. So mix that in with your eggs. And
so how much of it, because I would think mixing it in with, making an omelet out of it, you wouldn't have as much as if you were eating a salad or something like that.
Well, yeah, and some of the salad stuff is not the dark leafy stuff that you really need. It's the iceberg lettuce and things like that. But you consider a portion of spinach, an average portion of dark leafy greens or collard greens or kale is about a half a cup. So a half a cup is easily intermixed with eggs or something. You can get your half a cup in there pretty easily.
Okay.
and try that 3 to 4 times a week. I think we get that overall. We like greens and eggs. It's one of our favorite things.
I like ham in mine.
Ham? Well, add some spinach to it and try it, and it's really good.
I usually get the green peppers and onions and stuff,
The good old Western
omelet.
omelet.
Yeah, the Western omelet. But
Yeah, I like those too.
But I could see that putting the.
Yeah.
I mean, I like spinach. I like
I can't
raw
say
spinach.
I can't say I was a big fan. It just seemed kind of bland.
Mhm.
But I like it in a mix of things. I like it as part of a salad, and I like it. Yeah, and if you do a salad that can contain the equivalent of a half a cup of spinach, there's nothing wrong with that. Homeopathy comes up again. So floaters. There's a couple of thoughts on floaters. Floaters are something that we're predisposed to, again, as we get older. And there's one school of thought that floaters actually have a parasitic, much like we have these tiny little parasites that can be the source of our cancer, not that you have floaters, yes, you have cancers. I'm not suggesting that at all. But they can be parasitic in nature, and if you do a parasite cleanse, ideally, in theory, you can get rid of some floaters. The other thing that wards off floaters is, again, the homeopathy comes in. There's something called some of these homeopathy names just blow my mind. It's like I had to study a certain amount of Latin to get through nursing school.
Right. Yeah.
But some of these things I really, it's like, I'm going to try to say this. Physostigma venenosum. Okay, and the physostigma is pronounced Physostigma, and then a space, and venenosum. Whew, that was a struggle. Works on floaters. Also works on provides the same benefit for cataracts that the lutein and zeaxanthin does. So almost all homeopathy remedies are available on Amazon. There are some special places that you can order. One is elixirs.com, and elixirs is spelled elixirs.com. The lady who created the site and is a homeopathy specialist, say it 3 times fast, is very responsive if you have questions about anything. And you can email her, you can call her, she responds within 24 hours. So I have branched out to really look at homeopathy as an address for a lot of things, because again, you don't have to have the main source. It's a diluted form of it.
So macular degeneration, you're talking about preventing it. I mean, it's not really reversible, right? I mean,
no, it's more or less on the prevention side.
Yeah.
I was going to get to that next. It's macular degeneration, for those who don't know or don't know anyone infected by it. It's a form of progressive blindness.
Right.
It usually takes 5 to 10 years to advance to the point of being completely blind. Usually it's typified by a blurred spot right in the central line of vision that gets larger or darker. The lutein zeaxanthin is good on that as well. Omega-3s. Our omega-3s found in eggs, so there's another case for your eggs and greens. Yeah. Milk thistle. Milk thistle is an herbal remedy for the liver, so we're getting back to the liver again as a preventative measure. Bilberry, that old friend bilberry. So you can do these things, and if you're not showing signs of symptoms but are concerned, you can do it now and hopefully ward off having the whole experience of macular degeneration or cataracts.
So I've never heard of bilberry before today. So and you said it was, like a blueberry or whatever. So where do you find these?
Yeah, it's the leaf, and again, you can order it on Amazon. Yeah. Frontier Herbs is a big resource I really like. They put a lot of care into it. But yeah, a lot of herbal stores. The only one I know right now that might carry bilberry in stock is over in St. Charles. It's Aquarian Herbs. They're on Main Street, and they're open usually Thursday through Saturday in the afternoon. You can get it if you want to put your hands on it and see what it's like and know what it looks like. And also I'm kind of studying and kind of following, like I said, surgery is always my last resort, but there is laser surgery to limit the progression of macular
Oh,
degeneration.
is there?
Yeah, I don't have any statistics about the success or of that, but they are doing more and more of it, and they are refining it. And if you have an ophthalmologist that you can consult with, that might be something you want to explore if you're in the early stages.
Okay.
Glaucoma. Glaucoma, there's 5 categories of glaucoma when it comes down to what type you have. Doctors primarily divide them into 2 categories, open-angle glaucoma and angle closure glaucoma. Please don't ask me to do a deep dive to specify between these two. I'm not that skilled. I will tell you open-angle glaucoma is the most common, and the remedies recommended for it actually take care of both of those things, is from all my research that's been done. So ginkgo is one of those herbs, again, that promotes blood supply. Blood supply is really important to the eye. And you do need to be cautious because it's a natural blood thinner. I do tell people if they're on blood thinners to talk to their doctor.
Yeah.
Most likely he's going to say, don't do that.
So, I know nothing about it, but I think, is it ginkgo biloba? Is that what they advertise on TV? So what is that?
It is an herb. It is actually from a tree leaf. That its main act on the body is to promote blood flow. So they like it for cognitive things, especially dementia, maybe with a lack of blood supply due to a vascular dementia. Ginkgo can help. Anything, some people choose to use it in lieu of other blood thinners. If they're suspecting clots, I can't, say yay or nay on that. Bilberry comes up yet again as a remedy for glaucoma. So, if I'm looking for the biggest bang for my buck,
Yeah.
I'd probably go with
Use
bilberry.
the bilberry,
too.
yeah. Sounds like it.
In fact, we do a tea blend every morning. Especially since COVID, I've tried to put some herbal antimicrobials in there, so we do mullein and thyme. But lately I've been adding bilberry to it just because of the eye benefits. And I don't know if it's my imagination, and it could be wishful thinking, it could be placebo effect, but I do believe my eye vision has gotten a little bit better and this is after, a few weeks of doing this. So that's my, I guess, my unique perspective. There's one more thing we can talk about for glaucoma, and this is so funny. So there is an element derived. Do you know what a coleus plant looks like?
No.
No. Okay. A lot of people put coleus in their garden. It's very colorful. It can get a little tall flowery stem, but they're usually multicolored. They're done in a lot of landscaping. Very, very common.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, common.
Yeah, I still don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
that's okay. You don't have to. If you're curious, guys out there, you can listen, look it up, and find out what a coleus is. But coleus is actually a fairly common plant. I'm laughing because my dad was a big coleus fan. Every year, every summer, every spring, we had coleus that adorned the yard, and it is pretty. It's really nice, and it's easy to grow. But they have found that beneficial component called the active ingredient is forskolin, Forskolin, is in the coleus root. And again, it has a metabolic benefit in that it helps the liver, can also help with obesity, but it is reportedly good for glaucoma. So again, all of this is based on my opinion, my research. I forgot to do my disclaimer at the front. My studies, it is not FDA approved, not intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, cure, or mitigate any disease. Just information for education and things to ponder. Few choices. So that kind of brings me, I always am amazed how this works out. So I'm always afraid that I won't have enough or I'll have too much. I guess I'm just a motor mouth that way. I want to talk about a few things we have coming up on the farm.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Yeah.
We're getting more and more and more active. That's bound to happen if you offer programming, I guess, that people like. I am being asked to speak off the farm almost as often as I am on the farm. So I want to put that out there that I am available for natural health topics. I have a whole list that I can email you if you're interested. Our website, our email address is info@sacredfireliving.com, SACREDLIVING.com, sacredfireliving.com. So we're taking it on the road. This is our third year of doing the elementary herbalist, which is taking people who, are, I call them herbally curious. They might have said, wow, I want to learn that, but I really don't know how. And we teach them just the basic skills of what my granddad, his grandfather and other people knew when there was no medicine around, from a first aid perspective. And like I said, a lot of this was promoted by the fact that I live so far out, and being a hosting site where we have an Airbnb, a little herbal first aid can come in handy and stretch that time till, we can get help. So I'm a big fan of, and I'm excited to see the herbal interest that there is. Funny thing is, I kind of look at generations, and I would have thought people mostly my age, in their 60s, who have a perspective of maybe another kind of care when doctors had more time, and they don't apparently now. And they would, want to take, and they've probably had some experience. Their grandmother or grandfather did some herbal remedies with them. That they would be the ones who would be most interested. And what I'm finding out, it's young people. It's a generational. There is no. I've had teenagers come up to me and be very excited. I've had people, young parents in their 30s who want to know what they can do, especially if they're remote and on a farm. What can I do to help my family and my kids? What do I need to know about this? So I'm excited to see what's happening. We're also doing some fun things. So we have a barn dance coming up, April 20th.
Yeah.
It is contra dancing. For those of you not familiar with contra dancing, it's a very easy to learn. It was kind of a forerunner to square dancing. But when I did square dancing in high school and even later on, looked at it as an adult, it was pretty rigid. Depending on group, what group you got into, they would yell at you if you made a mistake. I make a lot of mistakes because I am not graceful. I am not a dancer. And at any given point, I have 2 left feet, maybe 3, and I can do this. And part of the reason we can do it is because we have some very talented callers. They teach us as we go. They make it easy, and their tagline is, if you're having fun, you're doing it right.
Oh.
So you miss a step or you get lost, you just come in where you know to come in. And it's very much patterned after the old, if you've ever seen the movies where they do the old English partner dances, that sort of thing. So that's more what contra dancing is like. There's a little do-si-do in there, and there's a little swing your partner, and the funnest thing is watching, because I really love it when people bring their kids and kids show up. They make the arch where people pass through, and so you get a little practice doing the limbo if you have 8-year-olds making your arch.
I see.
Or you get to go around.
Yeah.
So we have things on our website, again, sacredfireliving.com. We have programming and events and things like that.
So I know that you like to grow a lot of the herbs and things like that. Can you grow most of it in this climate, or?
A large part of it.
Yeah.
We make our own remedies from what we grow in-house. Everything we
And you
offer
could show
people.
people how to do that.
Yes, that's part of our elementary herbalist. We actually teach you how to make those remedies.
All right. Give your website and your phone number again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Website is sacredfireliving.com, and the phone number is 573-732-5053.
So where's the next place you're going to be talking outside of the farm?
Okay, well, I'm going to be at Bourbon Library
Oh.
talking about how to make the most of your supplements.
Oh. Okay.
Not all supplements or vitamins are created equal. So we're going to talk about the things you should kind
When's
of
that going to be?
That is going to be Thursday at 1 o'clock.
This Thursday
This
at 1?
coming Thursday at 1.
At the Bourbon Library?
Yeah, and it's free.
Okay.
It's a free talk.
All right. Well, Nancy, thank you for coming in. We'll talk to you again next month.
Always a good time.
All right. That's Nancy Harold from Sacred Fire Living. It's 10 o'clock. We are AM 1560 KTUI Sullivan. It's time now for the news. Stay tuned.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. This week, Congress returns with